In this video, I'm going to tell you 10 foods that you think are healthy but really aren't. If you want to control what you eat, control your body, and control your life, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. I don't know how it is that these foods have a healthy connotation. I don't know why people think they're healthy. Maybe it's good marketing. Maybe it's because we associate these foods with other things that we think are healthy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how anything develops a reputation, but these foods tend to be considered healthy, but I really don't think they are. I'm going to tell you why. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to eat any of these foods, but you really should watch your portions with them because a lot of them are super high in fat and sugar, and a lot of them are really high in calories, so you need to watch the intake. In fact, there's nothing on this list that I don't eat at least once in a while. Okay, the first one is granola. So we've all heard of granola. Granola is now an adjective. I think it means like hippie, woo-woo, like, oh, that's so granola, you know. I think it started with hippies back in the 1960s. I'm not sure. And they just took a bunch of oats and some honey and some nuts and they combined it. It's like, oh, look, we have this really healthy food. Don't get me wrong, granola is really good. I like it as a condiment. One of my favorite meals is taking fruit, yogurt, and then sprinkling it with granola. One of the worst things you can do is eat granola out of the bag. It makes such a mess. I remember I ate it in the car one time and I had to stop at a gas station and vacuum it because there was just like granola pieces all over the place and it made my car look really dirty. I like the flavors of granola. There's like cinnamon and honey and chocolate and all these other different types. I don't know. Now they make them in clusters, which are super good, but you really got to watch the portions on this. Remember, there's a lot of sugar, there's a lot of carbs, some fat, not a whole lot of protein. There's not a lot of nutrients in granola. Treat granola like a condiment. Don't eat it directly. Okay, the next one is trail mix. Yes, trail mix is wonderful when you're actually on the trail because it is super dense, right? It's not a lot of weight, but it has a lot of calories because it's usually peanuts, raisins, some salt, maybe some chocolate chips. The best kind is the one with like the little pieces of peanut butter chips in it. That's really decadent. Or the M&Ms, man, that's the best trail mix. But I used to binge on trail mix. I could eat an entire bag without even thinking about it because it's so easy. You just reach in the bag, you eat it, you reach in the bag, you eat it, and the next thing you know, half the bag is gone and you've consumed a lot of food. And it doesn't feel like a lot of food because it's designed for the trail, okay? You're not going to take baby carrots and cabbage on the trail because it's not very dense. You want to take trail mix because it has a lot of calories per unit of weight. So I think per 100 grams it's like 500 to 600 calories, which is a lot when you compare that to something like an apple, which is only like 50 calories per 100 grams. That's why you take that. So if you're not on the trail and you're just sitting at a computer all day, kind of like me making these videos, you probably want to hold off on the trail mix. It's good to nibble on once in a while, but just watch the portions. Okay, the next thing is coconut. Coconut got so much publicity over the last 20 years. People were talking about MCTs or medium chain triglycerides and they were good for fat metabolism or something like that, and then they started to make supplements out of that, of course. Coconut is really good. It's good for flavoring. You can put it on oatmeal, you can put it in cookies. It's just a really healthy form of saturated fat. Saturated fat's not bad for you, by the way. It's okay. And the other thing about coconut is that if you want saturated fat but you don't eat a lot of meat, then coconut's really the only other way to get it. Because all the other plant foods like peanuts and avocado are mono and polysaturated fat. So if you want saturated fat, coconut is great. But again, it's the same thing. It's super high in calories. It doesn't have a lot of micronutrients. It's just really high in fat. So watch the intake. It's kind of like the granola. You want to sprinkle it. You just want it for flavor. You don't want massive quantities of it. Closely related to that is coconut water. I remember I first read about coconut water back when I was in college, and it's good. I guess it's a good healthy alternative to soda and some of these sports drinks. But really, it's really expensive. You take a bottle of Zico or Vita Coco or any one of these brands of coconut water, and it usually comes in the 1 liter carton, and it's like $3.99. Where at least at the store where I go to, that's $4. And you're not getting a lot of nutrition. There's some in it. I think there's a little bit of magnesium, there's some potassium in it, but really if you want those micronutrients, you're way better off getting it in just fruits and vegetables. I mean, $4 a liter, that's a lot. It also has kind of a funky taste to it. I've never really enjoyed the flavor of coconut water. My advice, save your money and find something else. Unless you're an endurance athlete and you're going for 2 or 3 hours, you probably don't need to be drinking a lot of calories anyway. But even if you are, coconut water doesn't have a lot in terms of calories. There are better sports drinks out there that have more electrolyte. All right, my next one is Veggie Chips. You know those little veggie sticks or the Veggie Chips? It sounds kind of healthy because it's like, oh, there's vegetables in the chips. Oh, this is really healthy. I'm getting my 5 a day or whatever. But really, they just call it veggie chips, and vegetables really aren't the main ingredient of it. It's fried, so it has a lot of oil. It's very dense, so you can open a bag and eat half the bag without even knowing it, because it's not very filling. If you want to be healthy and have fruits and vegetables, then just eat fruits and vegetables. Easiest way to do that, I find, is to buy a 1 pound bag of baby carrots. It's like $1.50 at your store. It's not that much, and you can get a pound of super healthy vegetables in one sitting. But really, the veggie chips don't do the veggie chips. They're actually not that great. If you want chips, if you want something fried, you want something crunchy and oily and salty, just buy regular potato chips and enjoy those potato chips. Personally, I still think the Pringles are the best form of potato chips out there if you want to have them. But veggie chips are the worst of both worlds. They're not the best chips, but you're not getting the benefits of vegetables anyway. So it's like, you might as well be really healthy, or you might as well be super unhealthy. All right, the next one is anything that's gluten-free. The food marketers have taken advantage of this because they know that people are starting to avoid gluten, even though only 1% of the population is really gluten intolerant. There's just all this hysteria about gluten. Oh, gluten's unnatural. I think it kind of started with that book Wheat Belly by Dr. Davis or whatever, that the modern wheat that we eat isn't the same as the wheat that they ate in, Sumeria 8,000 years ago. And we have this kind of this like Frankenstein version of wheat. I don't know. I haven't read the book yet, so I probably shouldn't be quoting it, but there's a lot of hysteria over wheat. Most people can tolerate wheat. It's a natural protein that you find in wheat. It's fine. I've never had any reaction to it, but you know your health better than anybody. What I'm saying is, just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthy, and usually gluten-free products really suck. They're not as good as the regular version. I mean, imagine wheat thins without gluten would be really bad. I mean, gluten is not just a protein, it's actually really important in the cooking process, and without gluten it's really hard to cook stuff. Fortunately, these days we have stuff like quinoa flour and coconut flour and almond flour, so if you want to go gluten-free, it's a lot easier to do that these days. Of course, stuff like potatoes, rice, yams, squash, quinoa, oats are kind of gluten-free. If you're really sensitive, you can't eat oats, but oats don't have a lot of gluten. Some foods that are naturally gluten-free, like Chex, the cereal, of course that's rice, so there's not going to be any gluten in that. Or Rice Krispies, there's not going to be any gluten in front. And then they say gluten-free. It's like, well, you were always gluten-free. Okay, the next food that is marketed as healthy, but it's not really healthy, is most protein bars. So most protein bars are really just candy bars with some protein in it. Seriously, the macronutrient profile isn't that different. Now, if you take a Snickers bar that's 250 calories, there's only like 3 or 4 grams of protein, so it's really low. So what they do is they take a bunch of ingredients like chocolate and peanut butter, and then they infuse it with some whey protein. Now it has 15 grams of protein. Oh, it's super healthy. Well, not really. The caloric density is still really high. It doesn't have a lot of vitamins or nutrients. Really, if you want protein, just have like a protein shake or some beef jerky or some meat, or I don't know. There's so many other ways to get your protein. If you like protein bars, I recommend the Quest bars, especially the Quest Hero version, because they're easier to eat and they just have a better texture. And the only problem with those Quest bars is they have a lot of fake sugars, and a lot of people have a hard time digesting them because they want to keep the sugars low and maximize the protein. But I've looked at all the different types of protein bars, and Quest bars have the highest percentage of protein than any other protein bar that I've seen. They don't have the best texture, but it's still the best. And no, I do not make any money if you buy Quest protein bars. The next food that is considered healthy but really isn't is rice cakes. Rice cakes have no flavor. They have no texture. They're not satiating. They don't taste that good. They just leave a lot of crumbs on the table. It's kind of like you want to eat, but you don't want to eat. I remember eating like 6 or 7 of these in a row, and I didn't feel like I was eating much because I wasn't eating much. And they would have that kind of like light caramel flavor. I guess it was okay, but really rice cakes are a sign that you probably have an eating disorder or you're not feeding yourself. I just think it's like, you want to eat, but you're only teasing yourself. They're not very healthy. They don't have a lot of nutrients. The caloric density is actually really high. They don't satiate you. If you see somebody eating rice cakes, walk up to them and take the rice cake out of their hands and say, get off this diet. No, I mean, don't do that. But my advice, eat real food, eat nothing, but don't eat rice cakes. Okay, the next thing is dried fruit. Listen, I love dried fruit. I like prunes. I like, what are the other ones? The dates, the raisins, the cranberries, the apricots. Those are really good too. Dried fruit's good once in a while, but it's kind of like the trail mix. It's kind of like the coconut. It's only designed to be a condiment. You don't want to eat it like as a snack alone. It doesn't have a lot of nutrients. They take the fruit, they dry it, get rid of all the water, and so it goes from this size to this size. But you're losing a lot of the nutrients, you're losing the water, you're losing the, not all the fiber, but some of the fiber. You're not really getting the benefits of fruit, and you're concentrating that sugar, so it's really high in calories when you do that. Personally, I prefer dates. Dates are really gooey and sticky, and they're just one of my favorite snacks, but that's not really a eat dried fruit as a condiment, not alone. The next food that's not very healthy, but it's marketed as healthy, it's kind of similar to Veggie Chips, is sweet potato fries. I've seen this trend over the last few years. Instead of having just regular French fries like the Ore-Ida French fries that you see, or the tater tots, remember those? Now they're taking sweet potatoes, they're chopping them, they put them in oil, they fry them, and then they freeze them again. Sweet potato fries are really good. I like having sweet potato fries. I've had them before, but really from a nutrition standpoint, they're not that much better. They're a little more orange, and they're called sweet potatoes, so it looks like it's healthier, but it's not. It's just potatoes with oil, and they froze it. Just because there's a name of a vegetable in the title of the food doesn't mean it's actually healthy. It's really high in fat, really high in carbs, very low in protein, and you're losing a lot of the nutrition that usually comes in sweet potatoes. Best way to eat a sweet potato is to dice it, like in little cubes, steam it for 20 minutes, and voila, you have a nice cooked sweet potato. You're getting all the nutrition, all the water, all the fiber, and all the micronutrients, and it has way fewer calories per unit of weight than sweet potato fries. If you're gonna eat French fries, they better be hot, they better be salty, and they better have a ton of oil. The next food that you think is healthy but really isn't is something that says natural on it. Marketers have taken advantage of this word. They call it natural to make it look like it's healthier, but it's really not that much healthier. Not only that, but the definition of natural is really loose. The FDA gives the food marketers a lot of leeway when they do this. Just even if it is natural and it's actually natural, it doesn't mean it's actually healthy. A lot of things that are natural aren't healthy. The common cold virus is natural, but that's not really healthy. Ebola is natural, but that's not really healthy. We have this idea that if it's natural, it's healthy, but you have to think a little more critically than that. So what food marketers do is they put something like the word natural, or they put the food protein on it, and it creates this health halo. We think, oh, it's really healthy now. We can consume as much as we want of it, and it's going to make us healthier. That's not true at all. So be really skeptical when you see a package that says natural on it. Just ask yourself what's natural, and if you really want to know if it's natural, look at the ingredient list, and that will tell you the truth. Okay, and finally, the last food that is perceived as healthy but it's not really healthy is hazelnut butter, like the Nutella. I don't know, it's kind of the same phenomena as a sweet potato fries. Like, oh, it has hazelnut, therefore it's healthier somehow. No, it's not. If you look at Nutella or any of the generic brands of it, it's oil, sugar, and then cocoa butter. Like, those are the first three ingredients of it. It's just oil and sugar. No wonder the kids love it. Yeah, there's really nothing more to say about this. If you want something to spread onto your toast, you're way better off getting something like peanut butter without the hydrogenated fat. So don't get the Peter Pan kind. Don't get the Jif. Make sure you get peanut butter that doesn't have hydrogenated oil or trans fats. Make sure you get something that has just oil, salt, and peanuts. You can also get cashew butter, sunflower seed butter, almond butter, whatever. All hazelnut butter is oil, sugar, and some food coloring, probably cocoa powder, to make it look like it's chocolatey. It's funny that they call it hazelnut spread, because hazelnuts are only like 1% of the whole recipe. I hope you found this video educational and entertaining. Which of these foods are you consuming, and which of them are you going to stop consuming? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my website, saneaters.com. I have some free training there, and I also have a 5-day challenge, Stop Overeating in 5 days. If you want to speak with me directly, there is a link in the description box. This video would not be possible without Focus Me. Focus Me eliminates distractions and keeps me focused while I make these videos. Type in the promo code that you see on the screen and save 15% on your first purchase. I also want to thank Orit and Jewel at Essetino Artists. Without Essetino Artists, you would have never clicked the thumbnail because they designed it. If you need help with graphic design, Etsy, fulfillment by Amazon, Camtasia, or YouTube SEO, hit up Orit and Jewel. I put a link in the description box. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.